in order to fulfill your order, in order for you to have your sale done. And they're going to do this in stages going up. This play might take a couple of days, maybe a week or two to run. All right, next one up.
You want a question?
Oh yeah, cool.
So you got a question from Jalapeno Mushroom.
Sounds like a dangerous pizza.
Jalapeno Mushroom wants to know, as a new investor and someone new, larger amounts of money, my question is, what percentage of the money do you set aside for trading versus personal? Ballpark percentages are okay.
Well, I look at like, let me see if I can just put the answer in an easy way. How I look at this when I make money in the market. I live two lives. I live my life. I live the life of an investor. So what I do is down the middle, I split it. So the idea, if I make $100, 50 goes to me being an investor because I need that money. Just like if a guy is a contractor, he needs his truck, his tools, and everything. And then I understand that I need my lifestyle, my life. So the other 50 goes there. So that's how I've always split it. That's the way I was taught. And it's a good discipline starting from the beginning because it kind of makes it to the point where you're not moving more money than you should, but your life also is basically parallel to your investment. I don't know if that helps.
Absolutely, that makes sense.
Yeah, can
Totally.
I chime in there from a working man's perspective?
Yes.
Not that Lou doesn't work. That's not what I'm saying. I still do have a job for a little bit longer until I retire. But how I look at it is when I cash that out, I obviously set that percentage aside for my taxes, and then that's ponied away until it's time to write that check. And then I look at how much can I afford to lose, and that's what I'll put back into my investment side. And then depending on what my lifestyle is, I'll taper what I need for my lifestyle and see what I have left over from that, and then that's for additional investments should I need it. That's how I do it. You guys can do what you feel like doing, what
Yeah.
makes you what makes your motor run. But like I was
Listen,
taught a long time ago, was never invest what you can't afford to lose because you're gonna get taken eventually, and you don't want it to be painful.
yeah, listen, at higher levels, you could plan out what you're going to pay the government. The idea is this: if you already know it's going to be, I don't know, your 30 or whatever, 35%, your 40, whatever it may be, and you're doing your investments at a certain level, you're going to know what is going to be your returns. So you're kind of bracketing them out. So you're kind of like planning, like, look, I'm going to make X amount this year going in. I mean, I can tell you one thing. I've never faced a year where I could look at the market and be like, oh my God, this just popped up. I'm surprised. Oh my God, I made X amount of money. No, it's always towards the beginning of the year. You're looking ahead and going, all right, I'm going to make 100 or 200,000 on this, 100, 200 on that. So I'm approximating that's going to be my capital gains. And I just, listen, I personally, I just set that money in a side bank account and I label it. So when the government sends the bill, I'm like, it's right there. Um, it's just at what level you're starting your investment. If you're just starting out green, I started out with the 50-50.
Yep.
And that's a clean way of doing it because it's honest. You got $100. That means you got 50 for you. You got 50 to invest. You got 1,000, 5 and 5. You got 10,000. It's easier because your brain doesn't have to break down. It's a straight discipline run. You know,
Yeah.
if I
You
had a little
also
retarded kid, I would teach him that way.
you gotta know what your capital gains is going to be because it's different from state to state. I know after in the People's Republic of California, I'm like almost 54%, and that includes my base, what I normally make in my career field as well. So don't mess up your calculations. You don't short at the end of the year.
Yeah, listen, accountants, they're great for this stuff. For when the feds come, you just point at them first. That's just how it goes. So get an accountant.
We're not
And to,
accountants.
yeah, and to add to
Hey,
that is that make sure when you're interviewing accountants that they know this specific niche because there are a lot of accountants who say they do and they don't. So interview them
yep.
just like you would interview somebody for a job. Interview them. Make sure they know this sector because the rules are a little sketchy and timelines become sketchy and there's a lot they got to look for in your investments. And listen, when you start doing this on a full-time basement basis, your losses you'll write off, and you will need some losses. Trust me when I tell you, you're going to want some losses, not major losses, but they help offset your gains. And like I said, I'm not an accountant, and that's what I have accountants for. But cover your ass, because the federal
Yeah.
government, they have two things on their side always, and that's time and money, and they don't go away. They just don't.
It's the truth.
They're gonna get theirs.
Yeah, they're going to get theirs, even if they're going to take it while you're laying in the coffin.
Yeah, the thing about it is that so many people, they freak out about this thing about the IRS and the taxes. And my thing is this, like I have my feelings on taxes, whatever. But at the same time, you just set it aside and it allows you to make more. Set it aside allows you to make more. And at the end of the day, it's like work something out. I mean, if you made money, you, I mean, you're only paying taxes if you made money. I just don't get people that just go, yeah, I'm gonna try to not disclose, and I'm like, dude, they already know everything. They they got you. So I guess warning to everybody coming up, this is big boy league. Everything is registered. So there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. On that note, Lou,
Shoot.
you know, we spoke the other day, and I hit on it about this transparency ruling. Part of the transparency ruling is the fact that all these brokerages, all these market makers, all these hedge funds, they know what's in your account.
Mm-hmm.
They do. They're not supposed to. And that was a big, big sticking point with Gary Gensler, because he didn't feel they should know. But right now they do. So they
Yeah.
know if they're holding synthetic shares. They all do. They know who's got what and why.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
The unfair advantage, like I always tell people, I mean, when they ask me, what's my thought on retail cornering this play, I mean, I just wish there was some more maturity on how we all represent ourselves on the market and not freak out. But moving past that, we nonetheless cornered some big names. Um, they have amazing tech on their side. They all work together. Some of them, I mean, but we talked about this before. We all know that tech is being shared. These small firms, you know, it's like an extension of the market maker. So you're, welcome to your broker. You have an account, whatever. You're technically working at that point, with the other side. Like everything is exposed. Your movement, everything that you're thinking of doing. It's like it shouldn't be that way, but it is. So you have to understand everything you do, and when you open up that app and you're in your account, it's almost like you're in the matrix, and they know you're in the matrix and what you're gonna do. That's why I tell people, when the day runs, don't watch your stock number while the app is open. Don't get a confusion and something happens. Look at the number somewhere else, and when you're ready, get into your app or web page or whatever you need, and then do the transaction. If people only knew at the level that the technology is working here, I mean, it's pretty scary. It's come a long way since the original days of a simple website.
Yeah, they're definitely working some keystroke technology. If you want to use one
Oh
of
yeah.
those older terms.
No, listen, a couple of years ago, before I left the state, I had a chance to take a look at one of the high frequency systems. And let me tell you something. If people only saw what was on that screen, watching everybody preload what they're gonna buy and sell, and the computer was getting ready to make split decisions at the market bell, and I was like, holy fuck. In less than 2 minutes, they were going to game the entire system. That was back then. Where we're at now, that's why everybody, like, when the bell opens and people see all these ping pong orders being processed, I'm like, yeah, that's the evolution. That's ping pong. No, but again, that's super ping pong. So the tech, we're fighting Skynet. That's why when everybody was like talking about, bad about my devil, I'm like, it's freaking brilliant. I mean, they harness technology. Now, obviously, things are going to be controlled now and everything, but people have to understand, when you're dealing with technology,
think we lost you, Lou.
Did we lose Lou again?
We may have.
Technology cut them out.
Yeah,
When you're dealing with technology.
You know
yeah,
what? I actually,
There we go.
I think.
there we go.
All right. So what did I get cut off on?
Technology.
With
Here's the
technology,
deal.
you got to protect yourself.
You got to protect yourself because they've gamed the system in a way they can see everything that's coming in before the market opens. They're high frequency monsters. They're building profiles on everybody. They're scanning the boards. I mean, it's to the point where the information also, Bill, look at this. How much information are people putting out willingly to defeat themselves? I'm going to sell at this. I'm going to hold to that. Really? How many shares you got? I mean, you're putting out information that is being profiled and used against you. I mean,
remember months ago, people were putting sell orders in like the last 30 minutes for like 1,000 a share and then 5,000 a share. The only way you can put that sell order in, folks, is if you have those shares. So it may not be your whole portfolio, but they know you got X amount of shares. And if you're saying it's 5,000 a share, they're going, yeah, not so much.
It's interesting. I had a chance to think about this the other day. I mean, this play, I'm to the point of going to, like attack an AMC theater. But here's the deal. They know when we purchase who's holding real. Anybody that doesn't think that, they know. But here's the thing that's kind of crazy. It may be very possible, and this is something I'm thinking because I'm just thinking about the technology, that they may cancel out some orders because they want some accounts first. Because remember, they still got to get rid of those synthetics, so they got to do the swaps. So I think when this happens, we're going to have a lot of good things and a lot of bad things, but definitely the community contributed to the sharing of the information, registering to whatever company came along. And I just want to make sure I'm still on.
You are.
Okay, registering to every company that came along that said, if you register with us, we'll assist you. And everybody's like, that's the next thing. That's what's going to do the squeeze. None of those companies registering your shares, your holdings, where you're at, everything, none of that stuff was going to do it. It was just information gathering. They were running real live time intelligence on us. And the community was like, I'm doing it. I saw some things happening during the last year that I just couldn't believe people were doing it. It's like people popping up, I need your bank account information and your PIN and your state ID. Can you give it to me? And they're like, sure, if it's going to help the squeeze. I can't believe that people did that. But at the end of the day, we're here now. Going forward, please, people, don't share your information online. How many people ask me to show my position? And I'm like, yeah, go fuck your mother.
Thank you.
There you go.
We have a question from One Ape Dan. He is asking if you guys can give your perspective during on market orders versus limit orders.
For what? The day of the squeeze?
Yeah, well, for the day, the week, the month of the squeeze, yes.
Honestly, the way I've always handled at least my portfolio, and it depends on where you bought at. And Bonnie and I've talked, and Lou and I've talked, and Matt and Rod. If you can, depending on what the number is you're looking at, sell off 15 to 20% of your entire share count and make your entire investment back. The rest is house money. So if you want to ride spikes and dump as a spike hits, you set a limit, or you could do right at market and just sell off as it happened. That's up to you. That depends on how many shares you have and how much risk you're willing to take on.
Hey, Bill, I think they were talking about, what should be a better process to not get screwed over. And like Lou and I know you and I have talked about it as well, being the one to physically press the button for that sale instead of relying on technology to do it for you.
Then you got to, at least in my head, set a number when you see it start to come up in your head and get out. Set a limit.
Listen, at the end of the day, the last thing you want to do is the most important day of your financial life. You're going to trust the same people that were partnering up to do us in? No. For me, it's a manual sale, and I split this play into two brokerages. One is my main one where I have a number, my safe and secure, and the other one to the heavens. I don't trust anything with this play. I've been open about that from the beginning, and I still think they're going to come at us in ways that. Put it this way: Bill's going to be talking to me before he goes to bed, and he's going to talk to me when he wakes up in the morning. That's what I feel it's coming still. It's no free lunch.
And I'm gonna be talking to you while you sleep.
No, that's okay. You put me to sleep at night. I'm like, Pookie, I love you.
I love you too, bro.
So, guys, I figured out what's going on with Rod. He is an incognito listener right now on his computer. So I should have clarified it. He's a new Twitter user that you have to be on a cell phone to talk in a space call.
All right, no problem. As long as Rod is there.
He's there. He's here.
Giant hugs, my scary brother.
He's gonna. I'm helping him now. He's gonna. We think we figured it out, Bonnie. With that, another thing, folks, that Lou brought up, which is very interesting. You know, this everybody here, everybody who's on, can hear my voice, and those who are on Twitter, everybody who said they want the squeeze to come and want to make the most money, what they actually wanted, which you see now, is they want a fair shake. That's what they want. And a great thing, but also an issue with this play, which has never been seen before, is once we hit $73+ everybody's, I'm going to sue them and I'm going to sue them and I'm going to sue them. The second, and I've said this before, and everybody's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, but I might. $73, their side is clear of responsibility. They don't owe you anything. And I know that sounds harsh, and Lou's going to come in and hug everybody in a minute. But the truth is, once we pass 73, 73.50, everybody's in the green in this play. Everybody. So at that point, it's up to you when you want to sell. That's your own decision. That's not my decision for you. That's not anybody's decision. And like Lou said, it's nobody's business what you sell at. If people are toting 100,000, 50,000, and you believe it's going to get there, great. That's you. That's not us. But just remember, once we pass $73, and if somebody's holding for say $1 million and it never gets there, the answer is, well, you're all in the green. We don't owe you anything. The market owes none of us anything. What people are understanding is what has happened in the past 2 years on the market has never happened ever. You have plays that people get into that wait for years for them to run. And I mean years. What's happened in the past couple of years, even the runs, 100, 200, 300%, those were once in a lifetime. We will tell you this, and Matt, we were happy jumping up and down in the past. We got 10, 12% on a run. We were like, yay! On to the next.
Yeah, listen, after $73, they used to be, Bill, you remember in the old days when a client got screwed, but he had friends, they would turn around and say, listen, we got to make this guy whole. And it was a way to make sure that, the paperwork is in order, the SEC didn't step on you, and everybody was okay. They made this guy whole. He shouldn't have gotten into this play, whatever it may be. They're going to make everybody whole again. After that point.
The whole is $73. That's what I'm trying to explain. You know that.
Yeah. After $73, they made you whole. They took care of you. We're sorry. There was some manipulation. Here you go. You're back. You're back at your number again. So it took 6 months, and guess what? You can't cry manipulation. After $73, you're in the real world. Nobody has to make you whole.
Hello?
Yep.
So, I mean, that's what I meant by that, folks. And I know I come across harsh, and I do. And I'm the guy that says pull the Band-Aid off. And let me clear something up today, right now. And my folks are cringing. Yeah, I went after Matt Kors today. I went after Matt Kors because in the beginning, first of all, he should not, I don't have a license. I'm not taking money to give financial advice. I'm telling you, well, look at this, look at this, look at this. I'm not telling you to buy. I'm not taking a penny of your money. People have gone to school for many years to get the licenses to be able to tell you or have the professional knowledge to point you in a direction to buy some financial holding. And what bothers me is how everybody jumped on the bandwagon, and a lot of people in the beginning took their word. And I understand fully why, because there weren't people out there saying, hold on, slow down, wait a minute, who were paying for this advice. I understand the emotion behind it. But at the end of the day, for people who have really no financial background to be on certain media platforms, I can't understand why these large media platforms, well, I understand why, because they're owned by the hedge funds and they're owned by brokerages, and I'm screaming from the rooftop manipulation. And even the ones who are skirt the issue when they're on TV. They kind of touch on it and they move away. But nobody, at least in my eyes, should be taking a penny. It's just the way I feel. And I don't have all the answers. And when I make a mistake, I openly apologize for it. Fall on the sword, that's the way it is. People want to poke, that's great. But I have no, I don't even know how to put this right, but I have no sympathy at the point the hammer comes down on these people, because it will. And they'll go, hey, wait a minute, you made this amount of money, you made this, I don't care how many disclaimers you have. But the truth of the matter is, they're going to come down on people sooner or later. When they have a lull in their investigations, that's when they'll start opening them up. And that's why I went so hard on him, because I've also watched him over the past year, because I do watch occasionally, flip-flop on his views. And I just think it's morally wrong. And I'm not morally perfect.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, to piggyback what you're saying, we were just talking about that a few minutes ago.
Yep.
At the end of the day, people are not understanding. There's an old way that now has jumped onto YouTube. And the idea is very simple. Let's say I'm a YouTuber, I'm an influencer, and you're giving me money, and I'm talking about the big plays, the big stocks, whatever. Oh, thank you very much for that super chat, that donation. Eventually, I'm going to tell you a shit play that I'm in bed with. You're going to give me money, and guess what? I'm going to get a kickback. It's the boiler room model all over again, just on YouTube, Reddit.
Yeah, definitely what he's saying is true, because I mean, nobody that's not a financial advisor, a licensed financial advisor, should be here trying to tell you guys what to do and take your money to have you do it, because that's not sound. And we want to see everybody win. We don't want your money. We want to make money of our own. We want you guys to make money. We're not going to take any money from you guys. We're not going to give you financial advice. That's why when you guys ask direct questions like about banking, oh, what bank should I choose? Or when should I do this? Or what should I sell at? We can't give you that advice. It's not that we don't have an opinion on it. We just can't give you that advice knowing that if something goes wrong and you lose big or something bad happens to that bank, now we're responsible. So we're following the law. We're following just being good people, because we're not the end all be all and licensed to do that. So what Lou's saying is definitely legitimate.
So
Now I'm
listen,
going to.
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna bring up a situation where you and I were almost stuck in the middle of a very nefarious act, without
Here we
bringing
go.
up names.
Yeah,
I'm
Stop.
here.
No.
Oh, stop, Bonnie. Let it go.
Okay. Doesn't matter who's it or what's. But a while back, Lou and I got involved with something that could have gotten really messy by,
Yeah.
let's say, a bad actor. So the reasons, the person was very accommodating and yes, and somewhat knowledgeable, but the background reasons were incredibly nefarious, incredibly
Yep.
nefarious. And believe
And
me, we have the people to back these statements up because there were a lot of acronyms involved at the end.
had we not caught that, that could have ended catastrophic for in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, listen, I laugh when people tell me the shill and the FUD because at that moment, I made a decision that could have sent me to federal prison to protect everybody that's basically walking around. And that stuff is out there.
Okay, so we did have a couple of questions, well, a lot of questions coming through
Shoot.
about BBIG and SNDL. Obviously, not price targets, not anything like that, but what are your guys' thoughts on those plays?
If you want to hear the real side of it from me, I'm going to tell you.
Yes.
Those plays right now. Let me just put it in a nice way. If the way they originated, the FOMO, the internet, whatever, YouTube, the whole thing, there's a lot of pumpers into it. They're YouTube plays. I don't know. I don't know how the best way to explain it. That doesn't mean it's not going to run or anything like that. But if people been listening for a while, I said I'm technically done until the regulations come in and clean a lot of things up. Any play that you get into right now while the current system is going on, you're going to get slaughtered. Because until that regulation is in, do you really think you could beat Skynet? Now, that doesn't mean if you're holding and you got a bag on it, okay, listen, you got to write it out. Everybody gets mauled, everybody holds a bag. But right now, I think people should understand something. If you're looking to get into a play, wait until the regulations kick in and you see a clean market and it's safe. Because if not, you're going to get vaporized. And now, if you're in a play and you don't want to get out and you're negative on it, that's on you. Listen, write it out, see what happens on the other side. But,
Hey Lou,
to,
you still holding Clove?
huh?
Are you still holding Clove?
Indirectly, yes, but not.
I'm still holding Clove myself. We got mauled in that with pump and dumpers.
No,
I'm
listen.
holding both. Let me add to Sundial.
Shoot.
Sundial has, just like AMC, probably has a ton more synthetics because it's a cheap stock. You and I talked about the numbers, Lou.
Yeah.
The issue with Sundial, and they're going to clean it up, is twofold. They've been notified by NASDAQ that they're going to be delisted off of the exchange, moved to over the counter. It's not the end of the world, but they're also in the final phases of a merger with another company, which look like will be completed in the next week or two. So that brings their stock above the dollar limit and they'll be okay. So I and I agree with Lou and Matt. As for any other plays, I'm hold off on anything big until a lot of these transparency issues are cleared up. I believe Sundial will clean up also because a lot of people have been buying a lot of shares of Sundial in large numbers. I mean, I know people that are buying 200,000 and 300,000 shares at a clip every time it was at 48 cents and 50 cents.
I mean,
But again,
right now,
you can afford to lose.
yeah, right now, the way and I tell people all the time, right now, that's the center right now of my universe kicking off for 2022. Now, I got other things I'm looking at, but that'll be the most easiest freaking investment if things go the way they have to, because Sundial now and Sundial after regulations, two different animals. I will hold up on everything. I've been open about that because the things that I was talking about several months ago, everybody's seeing it now. How many millions poured in on the 21st? The line went down. So when somebody talks to me about a new play, I'm just like, you're out of your mind. Not until this thing gets cleaned up. If you're holding, if you're there, And trust me, I know people that are holding bags made of concrete and they're standing in the middle of a lake. So you just got to hold on and wait up just a couple of more days and then take a look at what goes on the other side, because right now, yeah, right now I don't trust a damn thing until everything gets squared away.
Sundial still is a play moving forward, though. I am definitely holding on that as well.
It's a
And
unicorn.
yeah, and I'll definitely be going wide in that as we move forward. So be cautious. Definitely be cautious, and the
I'm,
transparency should clean a bunch of that up.
I'm also in Sundial heavy, so we're all going to ride this wave one way or another.
I'm almost about to grow a marijuana plant in its honor. Like I'm in. There's no way around that one.
You guys are awesome. Question: how much pressure does improved fundamental news like today and the increased volume put on our side?
I didn't get the first part of that one. I'm sorry. I don't know if it was me.
How much pressure does the improved fundamental news from today?
Want the soft answer, or you want the Band-Aid ripped off answer?
Just give us
Band-Aid ripped off.
You got, hey, 4 horsemen.
Go.
Big boy.
Rip the
Ready?
Band-Aid off.
There it goes. Fundamentals as of right now mean jack shit in the market because they're still holding all the cards.
I
Yeah.
concur.
Do you want me to put the Band-Aid back on now?
Go ahead. Go.
Yes, please.
That's just how it is. Listen,
Can
everybody's
you
going to have to
kiss
learn.
my Maui? Oh, you know what? I just have to point out some of these DMs that I'm getting are absolutely hilarious. Nobody's giving you price targets and nobody's giving you dates, so stop trying to entrap us, fuckers.
Yeah,
Here's
I was
here's
getting
a,
those
here's
too.
I know. I'm going to
listen.
send you them all after, Lou. You can have fun with them.
No, listen. They come to me and I'm just like, this is not about a price. This is about survival after people don't really know how bad this plague got. They really don't know. Like when I popped on, people, I mean, listen, this is
My bad.
John might be having some sundial and he accidentally muted you, Lou. My
all
apologies.
right.
Just a little
I think
bit.
I'm back.
Just a little bit. That's all.
I think I'm back. I don't. Okay.
Hey, it ain't no fun if the homies can't have none. I'm just saying.
Here, here.
Amen.
There you go. Listen, this whole thing, as far as this play, because at the core, the AMC, like I go back with this thing when I was over at Reddit, after GameStop, everybody was like all moaning they missed the boat, whatever. And I'm like, AMC's right there. So this is around what, December 2020. So then, January, obviously, all my band of, I had like 4 or 5,000 retards. We all went into AMC, whatever. Coming off the GameStop with my brother Mikey. And the thing is, it went good, January, February, whatever. And then it got dark. Then it got darker. Then in June, we really saw darkness, and it continued on. And it's like when people are looking for prices and dates, whatever, you're not understanding. This is not a normal play. This is by far, I've seen things here that don't make any sense. You're talking about brokers that have direct exchange access, a seat on the exchange, were going through the market maker because it was profitable and there was no more shares. So nobody can give you that info, that prices, that date and the time, which is impossible because if it did, I'll be loading up on calls. But nobody can give you that because this is not a normal play. There's no fundamental. This is gone. We don't even know how many shareholders there are or how many shares are synthetic. We don't know anything. But what we do know is that there's regulation now that's going to filter a lot of the madness. And then we're going to see clarity. And that clarity is painful on their side, not our side. So I hope that helps with the price projections and the estimated dates, because I mean, this is the dark play in my life. I will always remember this thing.
Okay, we got another question from Philip. He said in 2008, word on the street was that the margin clerks ran Wall Street during all the margin calls. Nobody at all has addressed this topic. Will the margin clerks via computers be doing the buying? Also, who I don't know what he's saying there. Who are these golf? Okay. Who do they work for? Cheers. Who are the clerks? So just asking about, the margin calls and when those come in, if they come in and how they're processed.
You want me to jump in, Lou, or you got this?
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at the simple. I'm gonna do it. You're probably gonna rip a band-aid and make somebody cry. So let me make
No,
it as
I
simple.
promise I'll be good. Go ahead,
All
go.
right, okay. Here's the deal. Those margins, they come in after a while. They risk everything. That's what I was warning people today. So of course, you're gonna have people basically stepping in, the government, and buying this thing, calming down the markets because it had to happen in 2008. People don't really understand that thing. Okay, you had the banks, you had the mortgage-backed securities. They were handing them out to everybody. Horrible, horrible mortgages. Well, they were packaging me up, bonds, CDOs, synthetics, whatever. Then they took the insurance swaps, and AIG was taking every order coming in, everything. And then at the end of the day, guess what? It happened, and they got screwed. And at the end of the day, the banks got screwed. We almost had the blackest whatever. So you had to, these margin calls that happen around, somebody had to step in and absorb them. Because if not, I mean, listen, the market is no such thing as a free market when you have insanity happening. It's not going to happen. You're going to have some form of, let's face it, government intervention. So who are these people? I mean, it's pretty simple. It's the government that comes in and buys this up. Or if not, it's an entity that is basically tapped on the shoulder by the government, cover this and we'll give you the money. And that happened in 2008 in front of the world to see. So that's my non-band-aid ripping off. Now, Bill, you can go nuts. Take toenails if you
Bill's
need.
about to rip the
All
band-aid
right,
off.
Oh,
I'm not
hang
gonna.
on. Hang on. I just got a DM about that. Lou is like the uncle that makes everything better. And Blue is like, fuck it.
Yeah, basically, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
Um, thanks, Nick. I look at it. There's a couple different things going on. Okay, a couple of weeks ago, somebody on the 21st of January, very well written article about a little over $1.3 trillion worth of puts that disappeared. The Fed bought those. The Fed bought
Yep.
those fast. Those puts were against VIX and SPY. And a couple of large hedge funds own those puts. And the potential devastation to the entire market if they went belly and got called, you wouldn't have had to worry about anything. So the Fed stepped in, bought them all, cleaned it all up. You have to look at the way two things are going on with margin calls. First of all, I hope to God everybody in this group that's listening is not in margin for any of these plays on their accounts. That's the first thing, because the first thing they will do is they'll say, oh, you're in margin and it's AMC. So be careful if you're in margin.
Yeah, because you're going to get a job on the metaverse you don't want.
Yeah, but I'm bummed. Oh, who's ripping Band-Aids off? So the other thing you got to look out for is back in last year when Archegos, that little family hedge fund in Japan that nobody knew about, got margin called. They started liquidating all of their assets, and they didn't have one specific position that had to be liquidated because they had basically diversified across all their positions, their bets. So the two highest positions in their portfolio, because it goes from the highest financial value down, was Viacom and Discovery. In 2 trading days, those positions lost 50% of their value, and they still haven't come back. That being said, if margin calls start to come in, the way I'm reading the rulings are they're not going to necessarily not liquidate, sell off the positions. They're going to absorb them and trade them for cash in the beginning until the cash runs out. because nobody knows how far this is going to run, or others may run at the same time. And another thing that we've always brought up is you can't just look at AMC running up. You have to start looking at, is it going to do damage to other positions in the market because it's running up so high? Are smaller funds going to get called and have to sell off a Tesla, an Amazon, a Google that might be sitting in your actual portfolio? So as you're making money on AMC, the rest of your portfolio is being dragged down. It's a
Yeah.
balance. And that's what you have to watch out for. And that's what they're actually watching out for. When I start putting straight mathematical numbers, if they see AMC's numbers and market cap getting the trillions, but yet the entire market, according to Gary Gensler on his call, has a worth of $23 trillion, and AMC is in the trillions at that point, they're going to slow the process up and quickly. So as Lou says, there are going to be a lot of people watching this play and a lot of people controlling this play. So they just want it out of here. And the truth is, so do I. Everybody
Yeah.
just wants it done at this point. Think of all the hours of everybody's life on this call that have been dedicated to one stock. And
It's the truth.
look at it.
No,
Okay.
a lot of people are not understanding. In 2008, when I was downtown, you gotta, if people will only have seen the frenzy, like at first, I mean, people just thought I was crazy. My guys were crazy, and this is basically the golden time of like nobody being afraid. Once this happens, once this starts, please understand, you're gonna have people from those funds downtown getting nervous. You're gonna have people going like the firm that what did when Midtown, when they went across the street and started emptying out their Chase bank accounts. You got to understand, this is a scary thing. If margin calls come, we're in a whole different world. And this, it's not that AMC is dangerous. It's what AMC or GameStop can trigger through a bunch of other funds having to liquidate their positions. And I know that everybody's only caring about like my number and AMC, but this is not that. This is tied to everything. The government wouldn't turn around and make new regulations if they weren't basically afraid of the ramifications on this. So understand, if we get into the world of margin calls, yeah, we're into chicken at $9,000. And Bill can confirm, when we met with the VP at Morgan, I told him when he wasn't understanding us, I said chicken at $900. Look at us a couple of months later. Look at where we're at.
What did the apes do to the little boy that works at Morgan again when you posted his
Hmm?
business card?
Oh, yeah, trust me. You know what's
Yeah,
funny?
Matt,
Shut
what
down his
That
happened?
is
servers
so
for hours.
funny.
You know
Uh,
what's the funny thing about it? Bill, remember this? I warned him.
yep.
I even told you I'm
Remember
going
what
to
the
take a.
guy said? He
Oh
said,
yeah,
you guys are either the greatest bullshit artists on the planet, or this is going to change my life. 1
yeah. He
hour
said this.
later, it shut down their entire email system.
I remember
Yeah,
the day.
and what's funny? It's funny is that he said this is out of a movie, and we're
Yep.
laughing. I'm telling. When he went to get cards, I told I told Bill we just made this kid rich.
Yep.
You didn't even get a mug or a pen.
Hey,
No.
listen, here's the deal, and here's the
Hey,
person to confirm it.
that's a sore topic. He still wants his mug.
We'll make some.
Listen, here's the funny thing. During that meeting, he turned to us and he said, what do you guys want out of this? We could have brokered the most incredible fucking deal. And trust me and the Greeks brain together, trust me, we didn't take a penny. And that's what confused the guy. He didn't understand. We didn't want a dime. So a lot of people out there not understanding that that day, it was, listen, obviously that's going to be the one of hilarious days because technically speaking, me and Bill walked into the belly of the beast. But going further, what we talked about in the summertime, here we are now. And this play is scary world. And I don't think even he didn't understand what we were talking about to the full extent. Everybody does now. Look at these new regulations.
Somebody asked, I put the other day that back in June, July, August, this was a great play, and now it's become dangerous because it's like this machine that keeps growing, and it's been diluted because, like Lou said, back in June, July, 5, 6 million people investing. What are we, 10, 12 million now? More
Yep.
investors, more synthetics, more movement. So that's why I keep saying don't be greedy. Folks, hold to whatever you want to hold to. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, just keep, and like we said earlier, keep one number in mind, $73. Once they pass $73, they owe nobody nothing. And this is the cruel world. And I know I pull band-aids off, but they don't give a shit. They don't know who you are. They haven't spoken to you. They don't know what your family dynamic is. They don't know anything, and they don't care. Their world is greed and power. That's it. And they know. Look at Melvin Capital. He went away. He came back. That guy's going to be the fall guy, and he knows it. And he knows in a couple of years from now, when he gets scraped off the sidewalk, he'll get some cushy job, and he'll be fine. But that's their world. It's not ours. They don't they don't care what your problems are. They don't care about anything.
If we can get these people to understand that over the next 18 months, put tons and tons and tons of cash in compounding these plays, we can make this go away and everyone can make a lot of money and we could be a force to be reckoned with on the market, on the street.
You know, listen, the power of retail. I tell Bill all the time. He could back me up on this. If people only understood the incredible power of the independent investor communicating with each other, sharing information, and making their own movement with no boss onto any type of investment, not just Wall Street, how powerful that is. If they could only understand that, I mean, that's a sore subject with me because that's one of the reasons why people get victimized so much in this play is because they don't understand the power that they have on one play, another play, another play, another play, once things are cleaned up. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made, but listen, I think I'm to the point where it's like, if you don't know by now, you're never going to learn.
True.
Go
Lou,
ahead. What do you got, Bonnie?
question. Oh, yeah. Am I waiting?
No, what do you got for us?
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you said held up. When are you going to get Mad Cow on a call, Lou? We got Elk Spaghetti. We got Blue
Oh,
Ice.
Mad Cow?
Where's Mad Cow?
Let me tell you something. Word to the wise on Mad Cow. He is, how Bill reps off Band-Aids? Well, he wants to stomp on toes. Different thing. He's still got clients, so there's certain things he has to be very careful on how he does. But here's the thing about the cow. I guess the message for everybody, and it's really crude and the whole thing. I think I sent Matt a picture of him in Vegas yesterday, kicking back his feet, watching my video. With the "It's over." If not, I'll find it. I'll send it out. Here's the deal. He came up with me. He's been through a lot of things, and he says 100% that this entire community has been not. I mean, the way he says, I don't agree with completely on it. I love the guy, like my brother. The most ungrateful bunch of freaking children he's ever seen. And at a certain point, I should have shut down the channel because this is the easiest money people could have made. So as far as bringing him on, I actually wanted to come over to Vegas. But when I started this channel up, trust me, he was the first one to tell me, what the fuck are you doing? You have to understand, while we're on this side, he's still on that side. So it's one of these things. He cheers for everybody, but at the same time, it's one of these things where it's like, All this information is being given for free. You're in this play at very great prices. I mean, not for nothing. I mean, you're getting in this play at what, 16, something, $9, $5, $20, $30. But the return on it, once this runs, even if it goes up a couple of hundred, even if it goes up a couple of thousand, you're never going to see a play like this again. So it's been one of the sore subjects. But the cow, trust me, I'm working on him.
Hey, before people get all spun out on it, you got to realize this. In this play, there's people on our side and theirs. Well, the next play, the people on the other side may be on our side. There's
Oh,
really no enemies in this. It's all about making money. If you want to
oh
make
no, no.
friends, go to the metaverse. We're here to make money. You can forge some relationships out of it and move forward. But if you're here to make friends, this is definitely not the business for you.
You know,
Yeah.
let me can I squeeze in here 1 second, just real quick? I won't be lengthy. You know, Lou brought up a great subject: how much power retail has. The last thing, and the number is this, folks: if 20% of the retail market divests from the market completely, it's over. We are the only
Catastrophe.
we are the only actual cash flow in the market. Cash. That's it. They work. Okay, hold on. Rod is here. This is all I see. Sorry. They see us as a cash cow because the hedge funds, the brokerages, and the banks only work with lines of credit. There's no cash transferred. At the end of the month, they justify their books, wins and losses, not just AMC, everything else. They move a couple dollars over, they extend the line of credit. Everybody's happy for now. But the truth of the matter is, we are it when it comes to their cash flow. We walk away, the market basically sits stagnant. It's institution to institution. That's why Gary Gensler is slowly but surely trying to fix this. You can't do sweeping reforms. It'll be devastating. So it's a little at a time. Just like what, and I have so much respect for these Canadian truckers. You know, with anything in life, you stop somebody in this society, you stop the cash flow. Stop watching certain news channels. Stop watching certain shows. When their numbers start to fail, trust me, they're going to be gone because it's all about the dollar. And we have power here. Hold on, make your money, move on to the next.
Capitalism.
Yeah. When I told people why are you continuing to buy and dilute this? Why are you giving money to these scumbag free app brokers? Starve them, break them, and let them fail, and let them get the phone call that they got to start covering. Listen, the power of retail is so strong, but unfortunately, everybody thinks it's just them and their computer or their phone. That's not the case. We got about 10 million people in AMC alone. If any people not understanding the amount of raw money, not only raw money is that the raw money that could that group produce in the future. I mean, could you imagine 10 million people cashing out of AMC? What type of force that will be on the next play if they focus on, let's say, I don't know, a Virgin Atlantic, a Wendy's, or Nokia, or whatever it may be. That force, trust me, it's something that I guess I'm looking at it from this point over.
Uh-oh. Did we lose you, Lou?
Did we lose
I'm
Lou
here.
again?
I'm
Okay.
here. Yeah, I'm saying if people will only realize that, they would have a solid financial future. Listen. Also, that's another thing that pisses me off. I love people, but here's the deal: you make some money on this play, or let's say you become, secure, or let's say you become wealthy, or let's say you become. You take whatever level you're at, and you move over to the next, and you go to the next level. When did this thing become all of a sudden a lottery ticket, one shot deal, and you walk away? Like I've been in this thing. I stepped foot in Wall Street in '85, and I remember when doing a big deal because you got a tip and you made money on Amazon in the early days of 500,000 return. I mean, like that was amazing. But now people want to outdo big people in the street with one play, first play, and go off and be bazillionaires. I mean, people better think for a second. If you blow your shot with AMC and GameStop, you will never be a big money investor going forward. Just put that in your mind. Whatever number you want to sell, I don't care what it is. If you blow this, you're not going to see a play like this again. And you're not going to be a person that could put 100,000, 300,000, 400, a million. You're not going to be that person. We're not going to have those days. So that's my take. Band-aid back on.
Well, this is a really good question. And guys, I've gotten probably hundreds of questions. There's over 2,000 people in here, so we definitely won't get to all of them. But this was a good one. Obviously, AMC, GME, two plays, but there's a lot more to it, the whole market and the economy. How do you guys feel about the economy moving forward, housing market, everything that's going on with the mandates and restrictions and whatnot?
Okay, I'll jump in. My thing. I don't care if you're vaxxed or not vaxxed. That's your decision. It really is. Because if you're going to have a conversation, and that's what I feel is wrong with the entire world, we're either on the left side of the street or the right side of the street, and nobody wants to meet in the middle and have an actual conversation. Everything that is going on now, every sector of the news is contingent on the other. Inflation is contingent on supply chains, is contingent on COVID lockdowns, is contingent on mandates, is contingent on borders, is contingent on who's fighting with who. You look at the inflation rate, which was 7%. If you dig into the numbers, really dig into the numbers, go line by line, the truth of the matter is they were falsified, because a month before those numbers were coming out, there was a little blurb that came out that the federal government released 150 million barrels or 1.5 billion barrels of oil, which depressed the price of gas just enough to bring that number in at 7%. The number you got to worry about now is February's number, which they're saying could be 9 or 10 on inflation. That's the actual number. The other thing we have to watch out for Friday is not just the jobless report, is the fact that now companies are laying off because they're losing customers because of inflation, and they can't keep their supply lines running. They can't produce products. And yes, then you have the market. Everybody knows that AMC is looking to refinance. That's great before interest rates go up. As interest rates go up, if the Fed raises the interest rate 1/8 of a point, for most people that's nothing. But 1/8 of a percent, when you're refinancing $15 billion, is a huge chunk of money. So as interest rates rise, hopefully it levels off inflation, but it makes it harder for these smaller companies that need to refinance that we see on the stock market. And it could bring or be a detriment to their fundamental growth. Why do I say fundamental growth? Once this play is over, all you're going to see, unless there's something spectacular that goes on with a company, is basically fundamental growth. Because once transparency comes in, the manipulation will be cut up exponentially. So moving forward, everything is interrelated. So if one sector starts to lag badly, everything else will lag. All of this needs to be cleaned up sooner than later. Or, as Lou said, chicken at $900. We'll be happy at chicken at $900.
Yeah. I think also
yeah.
let me just chime in on something on that. You got to take a look at outside of the numbers, outside of the street and the whole thing in the economy. We have a generation of people that have never seen a down economy. And I'm talking about real down, like 1970s level. And this is probably going to get worse just because the amount of leverage that's out there. It's just too much leverage out there. And where we're going with the interest rates, we're going with the administration, the way it's going, the planning, the prices. Listen, I said it earlier today when Bill tapped on, let's face it, the future price of energy, I mean, that used to be my world, and I'm making plans to make obviously money in it. But as far as the economy, like the chicken at $900, or let's look at it, oil probably at 150, things in that capacity. The people that we have today, people in their 20s and 30s, which is basically the workforce, they've never seen anything like this before. So you got to take the human element to this. How are they going to respond to this? They're going to cut back on everything. So if they cut back on everything out of fear, because obviously things turn dark, because we live in a world where Uber Eats brings you whatever sushi you want. Once that happens, the effects on the market, the earnings, is going to affect your plays going forward. So yes, there is a correction coming. Now, don't be afraid. You could make money. You could plan properly. That's why I tell everybody, like the movie says, don't fuck this up, because you're going to need this money moving forward. All right, I'm done with the Band-Aid ripping.
Okay, I have a good question from Gritter. He wants to know, who is the actor Lou would want to play him in the next season of Billions? Because the season after the squeeze may be covered on the show Billions.
I want to see who they could actually come up for that. You know what's kind of funny? And we talked about this several months ago. You know,
A movie?
who
Here
you
we
guys
go.
coming up? Who are you guys coming up with?
Fucking Lou and I, we already talked about this. I called Bruce Willis, but that's just me.
Bruce Willis? Okay.
I honestly, I don't even know, because I don't even know how I popped up here. Like, for real. Like, I still laugh at this thing, because if I was to be able to talk to that guy that made that video, I would just go, you out of your fucking mind. Like, for real. Like, so if they put a YouTuber in Billions, let's just hope that it's not one that's super chatting, selling T-shirts, and basically, the kind of YouTuber we're talking about. If it's a person like me, you can get a bunch of guys to fill my role. I'm nobody special. Trust me.
Maybe
There's
Elon
a
will do
bunch.
it.
You know, it's funny. I'm actually waiting on Elon to get back to me. I'm actually going to drive over there after this play is done with a box of donuts. I got a project working for him.
So the question is, do you think Elon's holding?
Well, I mean, it would be known if he is, but I'll tell you one thing: you can't rule out somebody like Elon making a move if this thing is going to run. That's why I keep telling people, we're still in the deep blue ocean. What's to stop a big person from coming in and taking this another crazy level? It's going to happen. Like, people better prepare. You might have somebody like Elon put out a tweet like, I don't know, the movies is the place to be, or something like that. I mean, we're in a different world right now where a tweet can move millions, maybe billions. So who knows?
Hey, I'm gonna follow up something Lou just said, because he said he doesn't know how he ended up here, and we've had this conversation offline. And I'm gonna say that Lou and Bill and everyone else that's listening right now, you are here at this point in time right now for a reason. Don't make the mistake in thinking you're insignificant. You matter. You're here for a reason, and we're gonna do great things together. Just keep your head on straight, and let's kick some
Yeah.
ass and take some names.
Yeah, especially with the Buffaloes. Like, for real, like a Buffalo's never met a Puerto Rican. I keep telling people all the time. That's
Dude,
going to be
don't
a
get me
wild.
started. Dude, I'm already hungry, bro. Don't do that to me.
Spaghetti. Do you have any advice for those who bought in the $50 to $70 range?
Well, here's the thing about it. Like me and Bill talked about, 50 is, listen, if you came in at 7, you came in at 50 or 40, whatever, we're all going to be equal at 73. So all I can tell you is right now, you're not any lesser than somebody that came in at 5 or 20 or 15. So that's what people are not understanding. We are all caught in this play, no matter what number you're in, until we pass our $73. Then we all go even into our futures. So please, for everybody that's out there, I don't care if you have 20 shares or 20,000 shares, everybody's going to be even at a certain time at that point once Judgment Day starts.
Can you dig into that a little bit deeper? Because I keep getting DMs. What does 73 mean? What does 73 mean? I'm
Yeah, no, I
briefly
mean
responding
it's
to it.
Out 7.
yeah. You can
You want me to get it?
no, you can grab it. Go ahead, rip band-aids off.
No band-aid. I'm learning. I'm learning.
Okay, okay.
Um, the highest this stock has ever been is like $72 and change. I use 73 as a round number. At $73, everybody in this play, and I mean everybody, is now in the green. Nobody's a bag holder. So at that point, you're in the green. You can't complain anymore. Nobody could say, oh, I didn't make enough money. No, you're whole. So whether you bought it $5, like Lou said, 50, or even at 70, past $73, everybody is up. Even if it's a few cents, you're up. So from 73 forward is basically profit for everybody. Everybody in this play, no matter how many people are in the play, from $73 forward, it's profit. At that point, it's your decision, like we've all said, when you want to divest or you don't. What I will tell you is this: when this is over, I mean, you'll know when this is on its way down.
It's gonna be violent.
That's just a fact. You'll know when it's over because when it starts to go backwards, it's going to go backwards. So everybody, you do what's comfortable for you, as everybody said, because it's nobody's goddamn business what your position is. It's just not. And I brought up something today. There are a lot of people in this play, a lot, and nobody even knows exists, that do not have to register their shares, that are holding 2, 3, 400,000 shares, 1,000,000 shares that you don't even know exist. We will all find out who they are quickly when these numbers start to move.
And you're not gonna see them coming.
Nope. Some of them are going to dump back. They have their own brackets or scales. They're going to be dumping 20, 30, 50,000 shares at a clip. And you'll see it. That you'll see.
Oh, that you'll feel.
Yeah, well, you'll feel. You'll feel.
And
So,
another thing you guys got to take into consideration with you guys, depending on who your broker is, look at what their caps are for each transaction. Because I know some of these brokers they're capped out at certain dollar amounts. So you don't want to be sitting there watching the wheel spin because you have an order in trying to sell for larger than that cap amount. You don't get the error message until it's already too late. Now you have to adjust buyers. So just take a look at that. Make sure you know what that cap for your brokerage account is.
Definitely. That's gonna be the. I mean, it's gonna last a couple of days, but what Matt just said there, you better get to know your broker better than everybody in your family.
what do you got, Vonnie?
Yep, give us the next one, Bonnie.
Vegas. I was thinking more the Yellowstone Ranch, but that's okay. Vegas party is scheduled for mid-April. Are we sure that the squeeze will happen before then?
Well,
Obviously, we're not.
here's
Yeah.
the plan. Here's the planning how Vegas started out. Okay, I put out that forward date because I really do not like putting the dates, whatever. What I'm talking about is rules and regulations going in and understanding that Q2, the economy, the street, and the government have to move into something totally different. And I can talk about that later on, which is like the whole digital asset world. Between that and the energy sector, these two plays have to end. And once they can't naked short this, more obviously, the 24-hour reporting, the transparency, that is the only thing that's been keeping us down. 100%. That's the only thing. So we're going to have our climb. There are people, and I can tell you this 100% because they've told me, because I know them from the community, I get the messages. You're going to have people selling at 3, 4, 5, 6. You may think that's small, but depends what you're holding. Hey, so what I did was the month of February, I really do believe everybody involved, this has to end. Now, that being said, once this is all said and done, and people make their money, do whatever they want to do, go rent the midget, whatever, the month of March, goodbye. Go take care of your life. I mean, unless Sundial's still running, take a month off, and then we'll obviously regroup in Vegas. One, to celebrate, because this was a freaking disgusting process. And if we all meet there, we won. And it's the kickoff to what comes next. So that's the time frame of what I'm looking at. I'm looking at February being the time where we get the first stage of Judgment Day. This could run into 1 or 2, I don't know, possibly 3 weeks. It's a lot of money to cover. March, taking some time off because obviously I need a vacation. And then April, we'll reconvene in the desert.
Hey, let me get in on this Vegas thing real quick, being that I fired out that first tweet.
Shoot.
Let's not get hung up on that 19th date. Lou had to put a date in there in order to get the pre going. We need to get numbers because Vegas doesn't work on you need a building for this many people next weekend and it works out well. So sometimes it may take 90 days to 120 days to secure a venue. That's why we put that out there so that we could narrow the venues down. If we
And
needed the
as it stands
convention
right
center
now,
or an arena or whatever it may be, we wanted to narrow that down. We're not saying it's going to be all taken care of by the 19th. Well, we want us to have that number so that we can start planning, get the multimedia guys working, stuff like that. So be patient.
Also,
Let go of our
you
ears. We know what we're doing.
you're looking also at right now. The numbers are sitting at 3,000 people, and that was just one tweet. So we went from the theater to like a bigger theater to a super theater to a possible convention floor. So like this is gonna be something beyond me, and I'm gonna bring somebody in that's a personal friend of mine that does major events, and have her chime in and probably take this over because it's gotten that big. So listen, it'll be a beautiful thing for everybody, but it has to be planned properly.
And please, please, please do not make travel arrangements based on that 19th date. The
Yeah,
date
and
is
don't.
still to be determined.
Yeah, and I'm not selling a freaking thing for that event, so don't buy anything for it. Don't send money to nobody or nothing.
Nope, we are going to cover the charge and the cost for all that. You guys are going to show up and enjoy the show.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, we get too big, we'll do it out in the desert with a bunch of people setting cars on fire or something.
Can we do it at the Yellowstone Ranch? We'll do the
They got
second part there.
they got grizzlies out there.
That's okay.
Quit trying to get people to Montana.
Yeah.
Question. Hang on a second. I lost it. Crap. Do you think that they could kick the can another year?
Well, their main tool for kicking the can was those synthetics, those naked shorts. And you have to understand that the only way they can keep kicking this is to create a market killing event. So no, they're not going to kick this any further.
And then if they did want to kick that, they couldn't institute any of the new technology they want to bring in for all the digital stuff that's coming. So no.
Yeah.
Okay. This one's worded very well from Tip Top. Will the devil and the little D's start buying more AMC shares, not to short ladder, but to hedge against their losses when we run up? Kind of like can't beat them, join them philosophy.
Here's the funny thing about that one. There's no shares out there. If they buy into this, they're going to cause further catastrophe on Judgment Day. And they're going to have to buy that with borrowed money. The street right now is not moving money anywhere. Everybody's afraid of what Powell's going to do. So I can tell you something. The street now versus what it was before, it's a totally different world. Now, money is tight. So as far as them buying, the devil, I'm not even, listen, my devil, he's brilliant. He's making a killing in other sectors. Right now, don't worry about him anymore. He's taken care of. He's out. He's good. He made a lot of money. He's going to be around in the future. And giant hugs, devil, because you're going to make me a lot of money. There you go. All done.
There are so many. What about the dark pools parking the shares? I think it was over 70% today. Why are they
Yeah.
still doing that?
Well, funny one, but the rules and everything are still not in place. They're gonna run into the very last second. You have to understand. Nobody thought last week these rules were going to be implemented. That's just the way it was. This is a shock factor. So they're going to continue running this until the very. I mean, obviously everybody got the memo. You know, it's gonna be ending. If people saw the spikes that we had today, you know what that is? That's our orders from the Friday the 21st being sprinkled. We're wrapping up. Just understand that this is wrapping up.
They published last night, so they have 30 days maximum to implement. They can implement at any point in time they choose.
People still got to get the paperwork and understand how they're going to be in compliancy. And trust me, they could take a couple of days and be like, well, I don't know. Can we get clarification on this, whatever? But it's during this time that right now that we're in, that's why I tell people, this is the time to do the things that you're going to do. That's it. Be happy that you got this time, especially at this price.
Do the transparency rules cover the dark pools?
Well, they affect the dark pool.
Can you
You have,
elaborate for some baby apes?
Yeah, you want me to jump on this?
yeah, go right.
Yep.
What's going to happen with the transparency rules? Within 24 hours, the SEC will know, because they'll be missing shares. They won't be able to account for them, and they'll know those shares went through the dark pool, and they'll know by those shares what the percentages are. So based on percentages going through the dark pool and even alternate, exchanges, they will start to put together rulings as to how often they can use the dark pool and what they can actually use the dark pool for. The dark pool was set up for spikes. That was it. Either incredibly low, where a stock or stocks depreciate quickly, or they go through the roof. They were never used as a trade. It's supposed to be used as a trading platform, so a hedge fund or an institution or a bank wouldn't get hurt. Well, that's what they're using it for now. And we see the damage, because if you looked at even today, we close at 16 and change, 24% turnover, and 123 million in volume. We should have been $28 to $30 a share easily. And that's the only way today, because they ran through, I think, 8.2 million borrowed shares in no time flat. And even 8.2 million borrowed shares is on a volume that we know of 123 million shares moved, is nothing. 8 million shares. So they're making up or altering through alternate markets. So that's all going to show as soon as transparency comes to light. And that's what is so important about this, because then they'll be able to assess who's doing what, who's still playing with the books. And somebody asked me the other day about fines. Robinhood got assessed a $70 million fine. And everybody's like, oh, it's only 70 million. Robinhood doesn't have a huge cash flow. So 70 million was a huge hurt for them. And they're still being assessed other fines. And years past, the SEC couldn't touch a platform like Robinhood, because they were known as it was like a intermediary site where they put person A with person B. They weren't considered a trading platform. So they skirted the loopholes there, so they didn't necessarily fall within the jurisdiction of the SEC. But suddenly last January, when that buy button went away, well, wait a minute. And they dug and they got them on that. You're not going to lose the buy button. You're not going to lose the sell button. But you will see orders, and it happened a couple Fridays ago with Webull. They basically did not process any orders, or they put them as neutral the last 10 seconds of the market. And that's what they're going to do. So this has to all be cleaned up, and too many eyes are watching. So they will clean up the dark pool. It'll take a minute, but they won't be able to use it as frequently because they know that they will be watched. And this is something that's never happened before. They were never really watched. Onward.
Okay, I have two questions. First one is for Lou. Who was the first person you ever told to GFYM? And how old were you? And then for Bill, how many cigarettes have you had during the space call?
I can probably count for Bill 4.
More than that. And 3 coffees.
The first person I ever said that, first adult that I ever told that to was a guidance counselor, Mr. Ottman. And I know that motherfucker still remembers me because he was just one of those, you'll never amount to anything. I went back to my high school years later and I'm like, you're still driving a fucked up car, bastard. So go fuck your mother. That was the first guy I ever said that to. And I took pleasure, by the way, for everybody here that's been ridiculed by people telling you that what you're doing is wrong, invest, whatever, please do me the favor, pay them a visit and say, go fuck your mother and you'll never mistreat me again.
Okay, and Bill, your question?
Oh, I've had half a pack already.
See, I told you, Lou. I knew.
It's insane.
I knew that was your question too, smart ass.
I knew mine before. Love you. How many coffees, though?
I haven't had any, but now I'm going to have one. So that.
Okay. I think you should.
Yeah,
I
actually,
definitely think you should.
All right. Can I give some people inspiration? Because I've been such a bastard. Please.
Still love you.
Hey, Vonnie.
Yeah.
Tell people how I spend a lot of my days.
At the beach with a coffee and with your children and with someone special and helping people constantly.
Okay. Folks, listen to me. You can all do this. Every one of you on here who calls me wonderful names and Lou wonderful names and we don't know what we're doing. Hey, folks, I enjoy life every day. And I will say, and I was in business for years, but the past few years, I learned the game as best I could, and even before that. And I'm doing all right. I spend my days at the beach. Hey, Lou, what are you doing? I'm each in the city, going to the city. I want to go away for a day, a week, a month. I'm out. And all it takes is a couple of plays on top of a couple of plays on top of a couple of plays on top of a couple of plays and patience. Patience. And I mean patience. Because once this is over, some of the plays you're going to get in are going to take a minute. But at the end, you'll be happy you waited. And I tell people this every day. Stop staring at the ticker. Set an alert, walk away, and enjoy your life. I know it's hard, but staring at the ticker is only going to make you insane. That's all it's going to do. You'll know when this goes. Set alerts at different price points. And trust me, when this thing starts to move, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, homing pigeons will be sent up. And you will also see regular media announcing it also. So, next.
Okay. Lou, how did you come up with the word transmethadite?
Oh, that's special. Listen, this is going back before political correctness was ever ever around. Unfortunately, I grew up in New York City. So New York City was where everybody came to be whatever they wanted to be. And I used to go to the clubs a lot when I was younger, especially the days downtown. And I used to just see the most wildest things pop up. And I couldn't describe them. It wasn't a man, it wasn't a woman, whatever. So through time, because they kept identifying different names, I just said, somebody said it wasn't transidentified. So I was like, a transmifidite. So that stood with me forever. And to this day, I use it. It doesn't get me in trouble. Well, or lately it has. But let's face it, Transmifrodite is the new LGBT zebra unicorn name, and it's with love because I don't care. I don't care what you do in the bedroom. As long as you don't do it in my bedroom, I'm okay.
Okay, going back to Billions, we have Vin Diesel should play Lou on the movie. What are your thoughts on that?
It's funny because that book, you know, I really, it's funny because that book, I'm waiting till everything is done and obviously putting it out. The mission of that book, besides showing people the type of beating a human could take and keep, moving to an objective, and that's one of the reasons why I get upset sometimes because there's no human being in the world in this play that started out with $0, the government on them, a brain injury, and getting beat in the street. Now, moving forward, it's going to be weird because I already have a couple of opportunities to put the book into a screenplay and pitch it. Um, that technically, I have to, whatever actor's going to do it, I could tell you one thing. He has to read that book and say, I understand. And that's how I'm going to leave it. So it's not so much like, who do I think? It's the person has to understand what the mission of that book was to teach everybody that if you make a plan, it doesn't matter where you're at. I mean, really, honestly, I was chained to a freaking wall with rats. If you make a plan, nothing's going to stop you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they're telling you. Trust me, I heard it all. But at the end of the day, that's what that book is. So whoever plays that, if I have a say in it, they have to tell me because they have to know what the hell I went through. Just like people here, nobody's going to be able to understand what you guys went through 1 year every day looking at this play, waiting for your financial problems to be fixed. That's a personal thing. So I'll leave it up to whoever can turn around and say, I understand why you did this.
Sounds good. Let's see. I have so many questions, guys. Will the orders that were sent through the dark pool be sent through the lit exchange, and how will they send them to the lit exchange if there's no shares available?
Halts. They're going to wait till people sell real shares. Halts. Collect those shares, let them settle, put them back in the market. We're going to have multiple halts. That's just how it's going to happen until they have an entire block, and then they're going to process things. This is not like anything that's ever been done before.
You probably can't speak to this, but being new to this whole thing, where would be the safest place to put our funds once it reaches our bank? I know it's going to be in your pillow that you cuddle so tightly, but what are your thoughts on that?
Here's the thing about it. Wow, that's a different, depends when you say safe, you got to say safe from what? If you're talking about safe from the government, yeah, I don't touch it. If you're talking about safe from an economy that's going crazy, I think we still got time for that, so you don't have to really worry. So it all depends what you consider the danger. Um, you know, if you're looking to be safe with your money, I mean, let's face it. Right now, everything is going to be shaken up a bit this year. So that's why I tell people you use your money to make your life better instead of sitting it in a bank. So if you need to buy a home, do what you got to do. You need to get your cars. You need to take care of operations, past bills, whatever. Don't let your money just sit in a bank account or brokerage account during turbulent times when we don't really honestly know where this country is going or this world. So I think is don't look so much at the bank. Just look at the big picture of what your life is and what it needs.
Okay. How do Lou and Mr. Elk Spaghetti know each other?
Oh, me and Matt started out from
Oh
the
shit.
early, yeah, we started from the early days of this, and our conversation was hilarious because he has something obviously here's the thing, there's something inside of people that I consider friends, that the mischievous little hilarious dark side, and once I saw me and him were clear on this, I mean, that's basically it. So you have that connection you hit with people. This play amplified it more. It's gone on to more things. Obviously, Matt's gonna be running his own channel, his own monster project in Montana. I'm gonna be out there as well. I got some things to do here in New York as well. But at the end of the day, you kidding me? Matt's like Matt, his wife and his kids. That's like I 100%. It gives me pleasure knowing that still exists in America. So there you go.
I love you,
Okay.
bro.
Time out, brother.
What made you do the little thing with your fingers? And I can't say, I'm not going to even attempt to do the sound. Can you do it for us?
Yeah. Here's the deal. When everybody was freaking out of the numbers going down at first, and I was laughing at it because I really honestly knew it didn't matter because I knew they were parking the shit. I mean, this is before I jumped on YouTube. I would just say to myself, like, everybody's freaking out and they're getting all freaking unicorn inside. The rainbow colors are coming out. And then once it goes up, they go back to being a strong man. I'm going to hold to 100,000. So they were going back and forth, back and forth. And I said, hey, they're living a Prince lifestyle. He wears pants, but he wears makeup. So it just basically became a running thing with the people that I know personally. When I would just turn around and just give them the Prince symbol, like, how you feeling today? You're feeling kind of like unicornish. And one day on YouTube, it just popped out and it just basically that just became like when people see me in the street, they give me the two-finger salute. That's how I know they're family.
What do you think about this Thursday's SEC meeting?
About this Thursday, hey, listen, I feel everything was already done. Clarifications going forward. At the end of the day, it's done. I don't listen. Technically speaking, people could walk away and never have to deal with the SEC or the SEC or the SEC's webpage or their Twitter anymore. They did what they had to do. I mean, they're a government office, obviously. They're going to continue. And listen, I like my Gizla. But the SEC, to me, overall, is boring. I don't pay attention to that. The rules are in place. We're done. Once the dates come and they're implemented, it's not like I spend my days looking up, you know, the SEC or their meetings or who's talking, whatever. Listen, they got a lot of stuff on their plate. And I'm only interested right now in this.
Okay. 2 seconds. Bill's having connection issues. 1 sec.
No, that's fine.
What are your guys' thoughts on crypto?
Well, I'll put it out there this way. There's two thoughts on crypto. Crypto as far as a tool, crypto as far as investment. Obviously, everybody's going to want to talk investment. Here's my take on it. Crypto right now is the Wild West. There's a lot of pump and dumps. There's a lot of fake companies popping up. There's a lot of scams involved. There's a lot of overhype. I feel secure crypto, people have to look at it. What is that coin going to be used for? And like Bitcoin or Ethereum and some of the other ones. Now, there are regulations that are coming down on crypto. And Bill could talk about that. At the end of the day, the world of crypto is going to change this year. So you have to be very careful on it because crypto today is not what it was 4 or 5 years ago when it was a joke to buy Bitcoin at $15. That being said, so a lot of states are now starting to identify that they have to run a parallel currency to keep their books intact. So I think if people are going to look at crypto, they better start looking at where these coins are being used to make sure it's not just a shit coin that's going to disappear on them, because anybody can make a coin. So there you go.
Okay. This one's for Mr. Elk and Lou. I have no idea. Wall ball, four square, or stick ball?
Ball bear or stick ball. He's talking about the game. Which
Wall
game?
ball, four square, or stick ball? I have no clue. I guess the game.
Hey, I'm
Yeah.
stick ball personally because I played stick ball as a kid.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I can see that.
Okay, 2 seconds here. I don't know if Bill's been able to get back in. People are asking about brackets. They can easily watch
Yeah.
videos to find out about those.
Yeah, by now people really should know. It's real simple. First one 5 to 8, second one 1 to 5, and then the third one obviously. But we're not the same size as we were when I put the original brackets out. We're like 10, 12 million.
Mm-hmm.
And I use the bucket of chicken analogy. There's 12 pieces of chicken in the bucket. Originally, you invited 4 friends. Now 40 friends came, and they invited 40 friends. Not everybody's going to get a piece of chicken.
When did you
So
change the analogy from chicken to, or from pizza to chicken? 6 months
when
ago, it was
people
pizza.
when people weren't understanding the whole pizza thing, people are like, wait a minute, a deep dish has 24 pieces. It's square. I'm like, look, motherfucker, they're triangle in my neighborhood.
Hey,
Oh
let me
my
get in
gosh.
on that bracket thing real quick because you got a lot of hate and discontent over it.
Oh yeah.
Brackets are different for each individual person. Nobody's holding the same amount of shares. Nobody's needs and lifestyles are the same. We don't know what this is going to run to. There's no possible way to foresee it. So you have to decide what it is that your needs are based upon how many shares you have. So Lou's bracket is nobody else's bracket because you could have 100,000 more shares than Lou, and you could sell at half of what Lou sells at and make twice as much money. So don't get hung up on the brackets. Decide what you need to get out of it, and if that number to you is reasonable and works within the scope of the entire play. That's the easiest way to explain that.
There you go.
So Bell's like, can you get me a mic? And Rod is saying that he's requested, but I am not seeing either request. So guys, hit your mic again if you need to leave and come back in again. Sometimes that helps things out. Let's see if I can. I have so many freaking questions.
Hey Bill, they got upset with you, bro. All they're saying is get fucked. That's what I'm hearing.
Shall. Will hedge funds be the same after MOAS, and can we see them eye to eye after this settles?
No, I mean, you have to understand the hedge fund world right now. They're on their last. They're gonna have some good things happen to them, but they're on their last days because economies are changing. The money that they use to invest is changing. Rules and regulation, like little. Listen, I from the early days, like 2010, 11, 12, it was always getting the information first. And I was in that thing until there was a blurry line between getting information first to your client and insider trading. So that was a huge advantage the funds had. Then came the over leveraging, easy money. Then it got to the point where they came against an uneducated enemy, retail. As far as funds in the future, I think the economy is going to impact how a fund works because technically speaking, their returns are not going to be incredible. You take a look at right now, people are identifying what a fund manager is making and what is he doing, and certain actions of fund managers are it's a person now that has X amount of money can now do research online, get together with a little group and be in control of his play and not just give his money to a fund manager that could do what I mean, people think about it like this. Imagine if your money was tied with a fund and they were on a kamikaze mission against GameStop or AMC. How would you feel? That's why the future of the hedge fund is completely, and people misunderstand the devil. The reason I say my devil is brilliant because he's in a lot of different things. Yes, he's a fund. He just told all his clients to go fuck themselves. But he's a tech person. He's in the energy sector. I mean, there's funds and then there's masters of the market. So it's just, that's my take on this.
The way of the funds, they're going archaic. They're dinosaurs because retail is the new force. We've realized as retail investors, we don't need a fund to do what funds have done for their customers for decades, and it scares the shit out of them.
I
So
mean,
are
the
the
market's changing.
devil and El Diablo the same person? And can you make the
Oh,
sound?
no. Let me
Hell
tell you
no.
something. Let me tell you something about Diablo because a lot of people did not understand. When this play started, I was very raw in how I am because when I talk to the camera, I don't think I'm talking to 6.3 million views. I think I'm talking to a couple of people that I know about what's going on. Now, that being said, a couple of months ago, I mean, when this all started, and I started talking about egg roll, this is where you have to put your thinking cap on. When I was talking about egg roll, people weren't talking about Chinese bonds like Evergrande and the communist government and their effect on the markets and the funds working. But I just said egg roll. When I started talking about El Diablo, El Diablo is a couple of players in Silicon Valley that have a tech interest in cornering the market for the reason of what we now going to have the metaverse because Silicon Valley is done with just having you post pictures of grandma and your pet cat. They want to take over the street and they want to create a new digital asset world, the metaverse. So when I basically said El Diablo, referring to the devils in the West, there was a couple of them, and trust me, they know who I'm talking about. And then obviously my devil. Go a couple of months down and you'll see how everything connected. Egro, the technology in this whole play. I mean, Christ, people didn't even know about Skynet back then. Who do you think built Skynet? I mean, the entire infrastructure, the algos, everything. I think people now have to understand something. When I say us against them, trust me, if you really think about it, or if your brain could expand that and you understand who's them, should have keep you up at night. And trust me, you wouldn't want to be me. People tell me, "Oh my God, you're so fortunate. People recognize you." I'm like, "Yeah, I get fucking death threats from all over the planet." Yeah, welcome to my world.
Do we know when the hang on, when the regulation will be enforced?
They got 30 days, and it's not so much about the enforcement of it. They can track it. You have to understand two sides to this. The government knows everything that's going on once their system is in place. So let's say, for example, they try to not report. The government knows that. The government sees everything. Then the hammer is going to come down. And I can tell you one thing: the first firm that believes they can get away and not report, the hammer is going to land on them brutally. Because I can tell you, I've been through a bunch of Fed chiefs before, and Gensler, his second enforcement, like people don't understand. Like I gave an overview on that guy. Let them play, and they will see you get stupid prizes for playing stupid games.
That guy does not play. Being from
No,
that sector, he is a guy that is very, very, very good at his job, and I'll is he has the mantra of zero fucks given when it comes to doing his job. He
Mr.
doesn't
Al,
care
and
who you are or how you're connected. He's going to get you.
we
and he
have
cut.
we have
Shoot, go ahead.
three that guys in the community. So when you're referring to that guy, if you could just clarify which
Oh
one.
yeah, the head of second enforcement. I mean,
Thank you.
listen, funny guy. I mean, he comes from the Eastern District. I mean, all the prosecutors over there are all angry and mean. The neighborhood's kind of fucked up. There's only like two train stations. It's not even the Southern District. I mean, he was from that side, so I know he has emotional issues. Giant hugs, but hey, coming from that side, yeah, I want to see people fuck around now.
Dude,
He
he had to
just
ride the
came over.
train. I understand why he's upset. He had to ride the train. Those rats, bro. Come on, now I get it.
Listen. I want to get a T-shirt that has a rat with a pizza because I actually saw that the other day. And let me tell you something, that'll be the ultimate New York pizza. No, New York pizza shirt, like best New York pizza shop. There you go.
Okay, burning question. Bill's not up his speaker right now. Yeah, okay. I've had this question from quite a few people. Can you speak on and I'm not going to say the numbers, everybody knows what's getting touted in the space calls, but can you speak to some of these ridiculous numbers that are getting put out there? I think this happened on our last space call with your little friend Al, who's now visiting the monument. Um,
Yeah.
but can
Well,
you?
by the way, that call didn't go well. By the way, I want to clear something up. I had no idea I was going to be on the call that day. So when I came on, all I heard was, the firms, they're going to hold to 100,000. So why don't they hold to, we should hold for 100,000 and take no less. And obviously, I have no idea what a space call is and how many people it is. So when I came on, I was like, what the fuck did you just say? Like, that defied logic.
Right now, there's 2,405 people, just so you know.
There you go. Once again,
But
here's the
maybe
deal.
40% are bots. So let's say
Yeah,
1,700 real people.
here's the deal. And I'll say it and I'll say it a bunch of times. If this play, and this play is going to go up and it's going to run whatever, but you have to understand there's certain realities we're going to face. We're not the same size that we were when this thing started. There was a time when it was 2 million, 3 million, 4 million shareholders, retail. Then we grew 6, 7, 8, 9, I don't know, 12 now. When you have that, just do the math and go back to these numbers where people talk about 35,000, 50,000, 100,000, and just like, okay, do the math. At that point, the White House would have to get, I mean, not even at that point, way before that, you would have a market crisis, a sell off, the plunge protection team coming in, the White House would have to address this. They would have to get the Fed involved. I mean, Treasury would have to, I mean, people don't understand that nightmare scenario, and they're not going to let that happen. That's why they did this regulation. They got the halt. They learned from 2008, and they're going to open the faucet, close the faucet, open the faucet, close the faucet. Are we going to get high numbers? I believe that a lot of people are hungry enough to hold, but I really do believe at a certain point, and I don't know, that certain point could be 2, 3,000, 8,000, 800, 900. It all depends. Also, we do not know who's going to be buying in on our run up. So right now, all I can say is from where I'm looking at this play, based on the numbers that I've looked at, and I've called the numbers across the board, I'm okay with this play 5 to 8. I think when we get into the spikes of 1,000, 1,002, 1,005, 1,008, maybe up even whatever higher, because hey, like I said, we do not know. But understand, once you pass a certain point, you're really in like the matrix, like you're out there, and we have to still survive all those halts coming up. And
Are you there, Lou? Okay.
tell me about, okay,
There he
like I
is.
said, yeah, all it comes down to is this: we're gonna have to go through a lot of things, halts. We're gonna have to go through um people dropping shares, retail, and on top. So before we start talking about the high super numbers, what can this get to? I think the people better have a plan how to survive this and how they're going to pay you. Because yes, mathematically, yes, I get it. But just the reality of like that money being, and I know a lot of people tell me, well, the government can print, they can backstop. They've done it before. No, they've done it before to save the market and the economy. They've never done it to make sure that people win on a play. I think people have to be understand that's not the case. And a lot of people put that foot out. Well, they could just step in and print trillions. Do you want to live in a world where trillions are printed on one stock play? Because I could tell you one thing, it's going to be pretty dark outside. There you go.
Agreed. You guys are awesome. We've been at this for 2 hours. I did get a message that they appreciate it, but that does not get you out of doing the, I'm going to say, little person video tonight that you promised.
Oh, Jacob. Okay.
Jacob.
Let me
I'm
tell
not
you
going to say
something.
the word. You can say it.
I got to tell you, I got to do the Jacob. Here's the thing. Jacob he was the first midget I ever came in contact with, and I mean, he was okay with me calling him a midget, so I can say midget without a problem. He wasn't, he was just like that. And me and the cow, he came to work over at our firm, and the first day he showed up, he had his little suit on, and when he walked in, cow was having a bad day in the market, so cow was pacing back and forth and smoking a cigarette, and all of a sudden he sees this, he sees Jacob in his little suit, and he tells him, "Look, you little bastard, go find your father. There's no father and son day in the office today. Get the fuck out of here." So anyway, that was Jacob's first day at work. So from that day, him and the cow were at war. And what was funny about it is that they had such a horrible relationship with each other for the longest time. I mean, like literally, these two were almost at war and going to fight with each other. It was horrible. But here's the thing: Jacob lived in kind of like a screwed up neighborhood because he was a little guy. He had a stun gun that he used to keep on his belt, like the square ones. And I used to crack up all the time because Jacob used to get into argument with people and pull out the stun gun. One day, me, Cal, and Jacob were sitting down in front of a client. We were asking for some, money, so this way the firm could put it in the street. It was like one of these things. We're gonna make something. So I set up the meeting. Everything is great. Everything's green light. The cow's there, telling the guy what he's gonna put his money in, and all Jacob had to do was just talk about, quietly, like the risk and stuff like that, whatever. Jacob starts talking a little bit too much and almost blowing the deal, and the cow just reached over and he fucking tasered him. But he took his taser from the belt and fucking zapped that midget. And what was funny is because Cal didn't know that a taser on a regular person, like let's say me or him, it would just shock us. It sent him into like a heart, like I don't know, like abnormal heart rhythms. So here we are trying to save our midget during a client meeting. So that overall is the Jacob story with a little bit more animation on video, but I guess I'll put it out there later tonight. Did I lose you guys?
No, we're here.
Okay.
So, I mean, this has been awesome. I don't know what happened to Bill. I don't think Rod was able to connect, but we can obviously do it again at another time. Do you guys have any last words or anything else, or you want to keep going? What do you want?
Yeah, go enjoy life, and maybe I'll put some videos out there tonight. But as it stands right now, all you got to do is sit back and just wait until the regs hit the street. There's one thing to post it, but they got to hit the street and basically take effect. Now, once I hear, I'm sure once Bill hears, it's going to be put out there. We're going to see it. It's happening, people. This play is coming to an end. You could technically say it's over. Now all you have to do is worry about processing your exit. It's no longer if. You have to think about processing your exit. That's basically why I killed Lou versus Wall Street, because there's nothing to fight anymore. What I came up here for is already done, and we got other things to do. So that's it for me. Shine loves to everybody. And Vonnie.
I just want,
Pookie.
I do want to thank everybody for not constantly requesting it. It went a lot smoother this time. Nobody got booted from the space. So if you were having connection issues, I'm sorry. Even my co-host got bumped and Bill got bumped. So I just invited a couple of the socks up so that I could get a family photo. And we just want to say we love you, Lou. What do you think of our socks? We're sock puppets.
Oh my God! Ask Bill what ask man. When he get pissed at everybody, I say, listen, do you leave my pet monkeys alone?
Love you, Lou.